What's going on, guys? Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. So a few days, like 1 or 2 days after Terra Luna's UST broke its peg and crashed and burned, the largest stablecoin in the stablecoin market, USDT by Tether, also went from $1 to 95 cents, right? So in this video, I really want to cover why Tether lost its peg, and also what are the chances of a Luna 2.0 situation happening, right? Or USD 2.0 situation, right? So we'll start here with on May 12th, right? So on May 12th, stablecoin Tether temporarily fell below the 96-cent mark, which show volatility for the US dollar peg cryptocurrency. This means Tether aims to keep its value as close as possible to $1. USDT hit 96 cents shortly, and after 7 a.m. it hit 95 cents for 15 minutes, right? So if you look at the CoinGecko chart, you'll be thinking, what are you talking about? There's no 95 cents here, right? But if you look at FTX, you can see that clearly there was a 95 cents period, right? So be it for very short periods, that's why CoinGecko probably didn't catch it, right? So 15 minutes. So basically, why did this happen, right? So the first why is because of the loss in confidence, right? So basically, how we can think of stable coins are really like banks, right? If you hear that Lehman Brothers is going to go bankrupt, right, and your deposits are maybe you are scared you will lose your deposits, right? Obviously, you will pull out money, right? So same thing is happening. Basically, people are exchanging their tethers for real dollars in bank accounts before very quickly, right, at the same time, right? So that's why the prices will start to compress, right? Or they're selling out of tethers for USDC or for Bitcoin or whatever it is, right? So this is like a bank, basically a bank run, right? So what happened to UST is basically they say this: imagine we have all these reserves. So if there is that confidence, obviously UST can remain at that peg, right? So obviously some people might get very confused, right? So USDT is Tether stablecoin, and UST was Terra stablecoin, right? So UST basically the system was built on confidence, and USDT is also, every bank obviously is based on confidence, right? But USDT relies less on confidence because they have the reserves, right? And we'll take a look at the reserves in a while, right? So obviously you can take a look one more time. So two main tokens of the Terra blockchain, Luna and Terra, right? So basically you burn $1 of Luna, you can get $1 of Terra, right? Or Terra is also known as UST, right? So how is Tether collateralized? Tether, on the other hand, is supposed to be backed by cash, right? Short-term debt obligations corresponding to an equivalent amount of dollars deposited by its users. So those assets are held in a reserve managed by the company of the same name, right? So basically, how you have to imagine Tether, they make money, right, is we collect deposits from you, just like a bank, right? We collect deposits from you, but instead of loaning out the deposits, right, how they actually make money is they buy commercial paper, which is debt of whatever companies they feel that is safe or relevant, right? So this is where you can see that the crypto markets actually tied to the traditional markets, because if you're buying debt of a certain company, let's say you're buying debt of like some Chinese company, because you see that the bond yields are very attractive, right? Because you're thinking, oh, I can make 20%, so it's very attractive. So let me just park some money here. The issue is, if you need to sell because there's a run on Tether, right? You need to sell those assets as well, right? Which may distort a lot of the market functions of the traditional markets, right? So yeah, let's take a look at the Tether market cap, right? So you can take an understanding of how big Tether is compared to UST, right? You can see that Tether started on March 5th, 2015, right? With like a market cap of basically irrelevant market cap. And today it's reached like a 80 something billion market cap, right? So obviously after the UST debacle, it's a bit lower, but I really can't get let me see here. So it's now 75 billion dollar market cap, down from 83 billion, right? So you can see during this period, obviously this was 11th of May until 15th of May. So within there, on the 12th of May, basically it lost its peg, right? And that was when there was a lot of heavy selling, right? So again, you won't see the problems in the system until it's stress test, right? So in comparison to UST, right, which is Terra's stablecoin, it was actually at 18.7 billion at its highest, right? So obviously you can see that if Tether basically came out to be a fraud, or you see that the reserves that they hold are basically debt of some Chinese companies which they cannot get back or something like that, right? Obviously, this will really collapse the cryptocurrency markets, right? If Tether really came out to be a fraud, I think you can easily see Bitcoin at like 20,000 or even 15,000, right? So let's take a look at the people behind Tether, right? So the man at the center of the world's largest stablecoin began his career as a plastic surgeon, went by Merlin, and once had to pay Microsoft to settle a counterfeiting case, right? So obviously, not off to the best start. So also, this Tether is, I don't know for how they are, but they are really related to Bitfinex, right? And in 2017, I believe, Bitfinex basically lost a lot of user funds and Tether actually pumped in the funds, right? So how transparent Tether is really very, very scary at the moment, right? So obviously, if you see that there's a CFO that had to pay Microsoft for counterfeiting, yeah, it's not the best idea to hold your reserves because it's really not transparent, right? How they do the things. So let me just reload this page. So on this page, we can see Tether's reserves, right? So this is basically an audit done by their auditor. So the reason we cannot really trust Tether is because their bank accounts are in the Cayman Islands, where they domicile all the assets are in the Cayman Islands or whatever islands where the US doesn't really have jurisdiction to force them to show what is inside, right? So yeah, in fact, they actually got into some trouble with the New York basically Attorney General, right? So cryptocurrency firms Tether and Bitfinex agreed to pay 18.5 million fine to end New York probe. And basically what I think they ended up getting a slap on the wrist, right? Basically, because they paid a fine, but they didn't have to admit anything, right? So yeah, if we take a look at Tether's reserves, right? So you can see cash and cash equivalents and other short-term deposit and commercial paper is actually 75% of their assets. So if you break it down, 24% is fiduciary deposits, which is money. 65% is commercial paper. 3.87% is cash, right? So reverse repo notes is 3.6%. Treasury bills is 2.9%, right? So you can see that they hold actually a lot of debt of other companies, right? So what happens if these other companies go bankrupt, right? Obviously, it will have a knock-on effect on Tether as well, right? Depending on their exposure. So secured loans to non-affiliated entities is 12.5%, right? This is basically them loaning out the money to basically, let's say FTX needs money or Binance needs money, they just loan it out, right? So if that goes sour, also Tether holders will also be biting the dust, right? So corporate bonds and funds and precious metals is about 10%. So and other investments, including digital tokens, is 1.6%. That's really neglectable, right? But you can see if this grew to a certain scale, right? Let's say this was a 300 billion market cap instead of a 80 billion market cap, right? So then you start to see they will be really intertwined with the traditional system. And anytime any of these dominoes falls, they will really have a lot of knock-on effects, right? So after seeing this, what is the conclusion that we can come to, right? So cryptocurrency Tether is fined 41 million for lying about its reserves, right? So we can see that our conclusion that we can come to is that this Tether has really very low amounts of transparency, right? So if you had to use a stablecoin, right, because obviously banks are very there are incumbent banks that will really make you have issues and it's really expensive to go through them, right? So hold USDC because I might do a dedicated video if the feedback is good on this video, right? So smash up the like button, right? If you want to see why you should hold USDC instead of USDT, right? So one symbol can really change your life, right? Just one letter, right? So the short gist of it is USDC is actually backed by reserves that are in the US and audited monthly, right? Where else this Tether audit is done by some ABC consulting company that you haven't even heard about, right? So yeah, last article that we want to end up with is this Business Week article that says anyone seen Tether's billions? So a wild search for the US dollar supposedly backing the stablecoin at the center of the global cryptocurrency trade and in the crosshair of US regulators and prosecutors, right? So in July, right, and this is last year's article, right? So not even this year's, right? So in July, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen summoned the chair of the Federal Reserves of the head and SEC, basically the SEC, right, and 6 other top officials to discuss a meeting for Tether, right? So you can see really how slow the regulation is, right? So you have to protect yourself, right? Because the Tether has been here and growing since 2015, and today is 2022, and they haven't really regulated it, right? So what happens when they regulate it and they find out the reserves are actually not there or something like that happens, right? Because there is a lot of room for fraud and to exploit all these dollars which are sitting in bank accounts in some island somewhere, right? Because there is a lack of transparency, right? So my conclusion that I come to is, if you have to store your money in stablecoin, I would say USDC is the safest, right? So some people would say you should spread it across all the stablecoins, right? In my opinion, that's a wrong idea, right? Because if you find something really safe, why would you spread it across let's say you put 25% in Tether, 25% in USDC, 25% in UST, and 25% in BUSD, right? So if one of those goes belly up, you lose 25% of your funds, right? Instead of you put it all in something which is really well researched and really well thought out, right? So yeah, in my opinion, there is actually a chance of Tether being Luna 2.0, but on a larger scale, right? Although it's reduced percentage chance right now, right? Because obviously the US regulators are still taking some time to basically audit and try to get the audit and also try to regulate this Tether, right? And in that time, maybe Tether can get their act straight and also get their reserves all sorted out, maybe make the cash reserves more and less commercial paper or whatever it is, right? So they still have time to sort all that things out, right? But if it comes out that Tether is a fraud or something, yeah, we really have to watch out, right? So yeah, if you did enjoy the video, help me smash up the like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell button, right? And leave your comments in below, right? Do you think Tether can become UST 2.0? With that being said, hope you have a fantastic day ahead, and peace out.